Hello, and welcome to Rallying the Forge. I'm your host, Sol. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Rallying the Forge. I'm Solimer, and tonight, whenever you're watching this, I'm going to be going through making some decks, making some choices, forging some new fuses together. It'll give you an additional insight to how I do this. Everyone will have their own way, everyone will have their own opinions, but just me showing you how I make decks. There'll probably be a couple different episodes like this where I'm building decks, as I don't want them to go for hours and hours, but we'll see how it goes. Tonight I'm starting with so I've got on my phone I've got a whole list of deck ideas that I've acquired from playing people or people talking about things or things I thought of just over time. I've accumulated this list, and I've made quite a few things on here and taken kind of care of them to see if they are good or not. I don't know, but I have a whole bunch of stuff that I haven't made. So I'm starting tonight with looking at a Dark Shaper control style deck with a Pulse Mage Drix Apocamancer. So I only have 2 decks that have Apocamancer, Drix, and Pulse Mage. This is the better of the 2 for what I'm thinking of. So I just picked this one for the Alloyin half. I've got this with some Utera halves that I haven't play tested yet in full or at all. I'm not sure. Let me look at the numbers real quick here. So I think one of them's in my internal testing, which is ongoing, of course. I've been working on updating my matrix to go through, have all my matches I've ever done. I'm at currently, it shows 540. I don't think it's 540. Uh-oh. Well, that could be bad news. Nope, there it goes. Okay. Whew. I was about to have a heart attack. 634 matches. I was like, it didn't update my latest changes because I do 2 screens so I can enter data on 2 different tabs. But nonetheless, so what kind of spurned this was I want to make sure I have a good representation of decks that are going to be out there. And obviously I can't have every deck, and I only have 34 decks at a time in my internal testing, so I've tried to remove decks that are too strong so they don't wipe out everything, and then obviously I try to take out bad stuff. But it's just a process, and I want to make sure it's a balanced pool. And like right now, I've got a really good RSC deck that's blowing everything out. Now, I did test it against my Worlds deck. My Worlds deck is able to beat it. I did not test it against any other of my potentially strong decks. But, I don't know if I have anything made that can beat this right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, it could have a really bad draw, and another deck could have a really great draw. Anything's possible, but it doesn't feel like that's what's going to happen here. So anyhow, I'm making some more decks. That's what I'm looking to do. And so, of course, I'm using the collection manager. This is how I build my decks. As I told you, I found my Alloyin half that has the cards I need, at least for now. I have other options. I'd have to look and see. But so I started with Dark Shaper Savant for the Nekrium half. I don't have a Betrayer one, so it's going to be Nekrium for this. And then I was like, what card or cards do I want to have with a Dark Shaper from Nekrium? First card that came to mind was River of Souls. So I filtered by it, and now we have 8 decks. Some digital, none of them are former Phantom decks or anything like that, so they're all good. It's just going to be a matter of, can I use them? Are they on my account or are they on my son's account? And because I use this deck for some of my decks, it's going to be a deck that has to go on my account. So we'll figure out what account it's on after the fact. Not ideal, but that's just how it works. Normally on the collection manager, just because my portion of the collection is the largest, normally I have my son's pulled up in here. And of course I've got mine right now, so why don't we do this and just get his collection pulled in. And we'll start looking at these decks and seeing if there's anything that's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Maybe. So I've got, what I said, I had 8 decks, Nekrium. I need to cut this down, preferably to 2, no more than 2, but oftentimes it's my first go through. Try to make sure that's centered here. How's that looking? At least cut out 4 of them. So we'll look at this one. We're going to look at Circe, but or whichever Forgeborn it has, Nyx or Circe. We're probably not going to pick that Forgeborn because the Steel Rosetta is really good, the level 2 anyway, for the purposes of what the thought of this deck would be. But we'll see. So Combat Butcher, I guess what I'm going to be really focusing on to go through this quickly. I don't want to go through every card in every deck. So, and I normally wouldn't. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to do what I normally would do. And I'm just going to be looking for cards that really work towards the Dark Shaper Savant. So I do like Immortal Echoes a little bit. I like the negative stats to go with the theme. Horrific Maw is a really nice one. So it's got 2 good cards. It's got a Malicious Death Seeker, so that can be a positive. The Stalking Direhound, that's a nice bonus. It's like, I mean, it brings stuff back, which is what we wanted with River of Souls, is you can bring back, you get mindless zombie minions, then you can bring back level 1 creatures, and for purposes of Dark Shaper or Drix or Pocketmancer or the Pulse Mage, I can bring back the level 2 versions. So I like this one. I'm just going to say I like it for sure. And then we're going to look here. Don't care for Chanting of the Abyss. I feel like it's... This one has a Direhound, though. That's nice. And Golfer, that kind of works synergistically if you've got Exalts, which would just be River of Souls. I guess we have the Chanting of Abyss in this one, too, so... Creeper's always a fun card. Graveborn Caller I like, just as a card. I'm not going to eliminate this one yet. I'll look at the Circe real quick. Yeah. Okay. Dark Pryings is fun because you can bring stuff back. Dreadbolt's a nice removal card. Horrific modifier. A hand 2. Oh man, these decks are half decent. Gloom Reaper Hag. Okay. Crypt Haunter. That actually could work really well with a Pulse Mage too. And Cacklebones. Interesting. Nyx. Okay. Not going to eliminate that one yet either. Corpus Cliffs. So it's interesting. Hungering Strike gives minus health. The Terror, I don't like it because it keep increasing on the spirits. Depends how many spirits are in the deck. I'm not gonna worry about that. So, although it's not a terrible, horrible anything, this is the first one I'm going to eliminate. Just does not have what the previous 3 right off the bat kind of had. Not big fan of Corpse Host. I think it's bugged currently too. Yeah, this one also. I like the Alluvian. I really do. I love that as an underdrop card. I just don't think this deck has enough of what I want. At least at a quick glance. And that's part of the process for this is, you know, you don't want to spend hours and hours on just making one deck. I mean, you could. Maybe that's your thing. But for me, I'm hoping to get through a handful of decks. I don't know if this can be all in one video or not, but you know, I want to make a couple decks so I can't spend forever debating. You know, I'll save my debating for when I'm down to 2 decks or 3 decks and I need to cut one more out. So these are quick looks. If it doesn't stand out to me, I move on. Oh, I don't feel like I like it enough. It's a neat effect. This has a Dire Hound and Horrific. The Zymus is nice in a way. I'm going to hang on to that one for a moment. Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not happy with these vile creatures. But it could work out because I do have the minion generation coming from Drix and the Alloyin side. So it could work out. Not the end of the world, maybe. Not that I have to play the Butcher or the Demon, but... Okay. So I've got... So I've got 5 decks I'm looking at. I need to cut this down a couple more now. So I'll start back at the front and make some choices here. So the spell package is okay. I mean, I love Varric's Embrace as a spell, but it doesn't entirely fit with the theme of this deck. Not that that matters so much, but there's no additional advantage to playing it necessarily. What do we have here? Replace. Just a body. Gizmo. Is it Gizmo every level? No, it's a Mega Gizmo at 3. So, but that's nice. It's kind of like Mystical, but for Alloyin. Okay. So I love the Horrific Maw, but at the same time, it's a horrible on Forge starting play. Not to mention, I don't want to hold it to be an underdrop because it gets better as it goes, but I need to think about the underdrop aspects of this deck. This guy is somebody who I would hold and play as an underdrop if I couldn't trigger him right away. But of course, you go too long with it, and then you don't even want to play it at all. The Dire Hound is nice, or can be nice, depending. So you don't necessarily want to do that. But at the same time, though, if you're looking to bring back useful cards, you want to have it leveled up. It's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Spectre does nothing. Bloodlord does nothing. Butcher does nothing. So this one I'm not going to say for sure on yet. Even though I did like it initially, the more I look at it, blah. Oh, don't care for that. I like the Graveborn Caller because it brings in extra dudes. Creeper's always fun. Golfer, situational, but potentially useful. Of course, Dire Hound again. Don't love Muthril. So this one I'm not going to say yes to either yet. Okay, River Souls, Dreadbolt, Dark Pryings. Okay. Revenant, Vampiric Revenant. Okay, it's not a bad card. This has Horrific, so there's utility there. Otherwise, though, it's wasted because it's going to destroy itself against anything. So, such a tough card. It has to kill whatever it's facing. I don't know. Of course, it could be used with hand too, so it can make a loop if they don't want to pay the health. Gloom Reaper is a great underdrop. Savant, of course. Crypt Haunter. I like this. This is a great card for this type of deck. Cacklebone. So I'm going to advance this one for now. We'll see if I like one of these other ones. This deck, I like Explosive Demise. Sack Chamber is an interesting exalt to have with the deck. That could go well with an Apocalypse if you can get it to go off. It's just like, that could be really cool. Okay, so we talked about Deathseeker. This one's a Forsaken Maw, which is better than the other Maw that we had in one respect, because if this is unopposed, it's boosting itself and doing its other ability where it doesn't have to have a creature out there. But if the opponent's board's full, you're not getting that benefit. The other one will be better in that case. So they're kind of opposites. His stats suck, though. God, they blow. The Dire Hound, Horrific Dire Hound. Okay. I like a Stalking card. Not big on the Vial, but it's okay. And Zymus. Zymus can go well with the Vial, too. So I kind of like this one. I think I'm going to keep this one over here. And then, excuse me. Dreadbolt, Dark Pryings, River Souls. I like the Summoner. Although this doesn't have a lot of spells either. This doesn't have a lot of spells to play. So maybe not great. So I think I'm going to pass on these three decks. So now I've got it down to these ones. And when I get down to two, I'm not debating right now any further whether they're good or not. I'm going to go ahead and forge them. So we'll fuse them, and I gotta make sure which forge one I'm going to use. This one plays 2 mana zombie minions, so okay. Man, that could be good. 3 or more spirits. No, okay. Not dealing with that. 2 or more spirits, not going to do that either. Okay, so we're going to use that one first. Okay. First one's going to be uh-oh. Here we go. The Devils of the Whipping Rogue. Is it on my son's account? Yep. Son of a gun. Oh, I can't use that one. Not right now, anyway. Okay. Looks like we're going to be going with the Worms of the Corpse if it's there. So we're only getting 1 deck out of this. That's okay, though. So now I've got to think of a name that I like for the deck here. This is Nekrium. We're going to call it Dark Control. All right. We'll come back to this one day when... why is this... Oh, it's this one. Hand 2. When this Hand 2 deck fails in the current decks it's in. Got it with Tempest and Alloyin. Alrighty. So I have it pull the new deck in. So I've got it in there, and I'll modify that after I'm done making decks. So that's 1 deck. I was hoping 2. I didn't quite get it because the other deck is on my son's account for now. I can transfer it back at a later time. But, oops. Gotta be careful which ones I'm tracking off here. Yeah, this is gonna cause a problem. It's probably my best Hand 2 deck. It's got Hand 2 and Reversals. I might have some more though. Let's see what else I want to make here. I'm reading through my list, not reading off everything to you guys. Man, I don't know if I want to do that. I could try. So let me look up. So I have a preserved habitat deck that I really like, but I made it into a couple decks and it didn't work out. So I did it there and didn't change much there. Okay, so we're going to take a new spin on this. So this is the half deck I really like. Obviously, it has Preserved Habitat. It has Nature's Progression, which is you can upgrade a creature in your hand, and then at the level 3, it's free to play, and you upgrade a creature in your hand. And then you have Might of Trees, which upgrades a creature in your hand each time, and then at level 3, you upgrade a creature in hand, then play it for free. So both those cards are great cards for preserved habitat. The only thing I don't have in this deck is a prevailing creature. I may have a deck with it. I'm going to look at what else I have. But I really like this half deck. I love Spiky Mastodon. Mastodon, if you have another creature with increased attack, you can give it a boost, and then it's an activate. And then the level 3 is for each creature you have in play with increased attack, it gets +3/+3. So it can get +15/+15 every turn, and it can just get out of hand quickly. So it's a really fun card, and it has the spiky, so it can get rid of chump blocks and stuff. It's got a nice stout war tusk if you put it on the preserved habitat, but it's also got a Taro in it. Granted, we don't have any life gain in the deck other than the Taro itself. I don't know if Nova has life gain. No. So it does have a Tusk Mage, which when you upgrade a card, it gets more health. So it's another card that can grow from that synergy. Combat Raptor can be a big body, but it has low health, so it's that Hardshell Beetle. Not the greatest card, but when you can get its boost going, it's a pretty tough card to get off the board. And of course, Regenerating Aetherhound. This, if you do replace a creature, you can gain health for the Taro, but I tried playing with two Alloyin decks, it looks like, and the replacement synergy wasn't there. So, could have just been bad pairings. Maybe the deck's just not that good, and I'm just blinded because I like the spell package and I like the Mastodon. So let's look. We've got that many preserved habitat decks. What else do we want with the... Let's see if we've got prevailing. We've got a couple. We'll see if any of them are any good. They could be. Prevailing Slayer. It's not so bad. He's got good health. I don't like Eidolon, but he would work well with a prevailing creature, I guess. Breakwood's a good card to have in there. Gives you some options there. You got Taro and a Wild Man. Druid's Chant for some more life gain plus Pump, which works well with the Taro. Of course, your preserved habitat, but you don't have any upgrade synergy in this half. So that is a issue. That's nice if you have a spirit, which I'm sure this deck does in some fashion, doesn't it? A couple spirits. That's great because it gives you breakthrough. That can be a win condition for you later on in the match where you get some damage through that your opponent was not expecting. But I don't like... There's no upgrade synergy here for preserved habitat to really go off. And maybe I'm wrong for trying to think that you can build a deck around preserved habitat versus having it as just a utility card. That it's nice to have. It feels like Heart Tree. Heart Tree in set 2. Utera Exalt, gain health. Creature in that lane gains hit points. So that can really go off in a variety of ways, and your creatures can get out of hand, and without hard removal, it's almost impossible to kill those creatures if you build around it. But it's hard to find that right combination to really make that go off, and typically they always lean into the same types of cards, so when people are trying to do that, it's all the same type of decks. And from what I've been able to see, or maybe based on what people have made and drawn in their collections, it hasn't been a great, a strong enough deck archetype that people play it frequently in competitive type stuff. So maybe Preserved Habitat is in the same ilk, where it can be a really strong card and really go off when you build around it and have all the pieces for it. But maybe it's just not going to be in the competitive scene. It's not going to be a strong enough archetype. which might be the case. I'm still going to see if I can't find a pairing for this. And it looks like I'm more leaning into the Taro aspect with the life gain on this one, which in itself can be a strong card. It's basically got a preserved habitat built into it because when you gain health, it gets bigger. So, I don't know. I don't like this, though. If I was going to go with one of these two, I would go with my first one. Let's look at this other one here. Has a prevailing Packmaster, which can be interesting. So it can get bigger as... Well, your warriors also can get bigger, but it can get bigger as it takes any damage, which can be good. Prevailing is a great card for preserved habitat, though. This has Lycian Shard, which I'm not big on, but it can give breakthrough to creatures if you play it all the way up. Dendrify, of course, not bad. Relentless Wanderers, interesting. Deep Branch Prowler. That's a fun card if you get it on an Exalt anyway. Biting Decaesaur, Venerable Raptor. I'm not in love with it. I don't feel like I've got a good prevailing preserved habitat combination. These are the only two I have. It's just hard. Maybe prevailing. Maybe I'm not giving prevailing enough credit. I know it's a great card because every turn you're upgrading a creature, and that's great. But I just don't know. I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't like the other cards in the deck to be anything a winning combination, I guess. Let me look at this one real quick. Let me make sure. Ooh. Okay, the one below it, and that one's gone. Okay. This one for prevailing I like better than the other one. So maybe I'll hold on to this one just in case. Do I want to look at other decks, see if any have Nature's Progression, Might of the Trees? This one is an expired Phantom, so I cannot use that one. This one should be good. Okay. So this one has a Might of the Trees with preserved habitat. It's got a Botanimate, Ferocious Roar. Okay. Arboreus, probably with no life gain here. It's got a Tusk Mage, a Batter Hide, Relentless Wanderers, Shepherding Willow. If you have a spirit, does this one grow? 2 spirits, 3 spirits. And it's got a Forebear. So, well, that's good for the Willow. I don't hate it. I don't hate this. I don't hate it. And with what I'm looking to pair it with, the Arboreus actually might work out if I can keep good health. I don't know, maybe it's something I just put together for fun. I don't normally do that, I guess. I do, but I don't. I like to win. This has Might of the Trees, Preserved Habitat. It's got a Druid's Chant. Okay, it's got a Mastodon, nice. A Spirit Charm. So if you have Spirit in play, you get to choose 2. Okay. Let's see, it's got a Druid. That's neat. I'm not big on Everflow Eidolon. It's a card I kind of hate to see in a deck, honestly. Regenerating Hunter. Okay, I mean, Hunter, I like him for his deploy. Otherwise, I'm not big on the card. There are certain versions that have good enough stats. You're like, okay, it's a good card, but not that one. Okay, the Splicer. Spring Bloom Batterhide, so we do have some life gain for everybody. I do love Batterhide We don't have a Botanimate here, so Batterhide's a nice card to have there with that. Spirit Charm does allow us to exhaust a creature and move it to the back row. Doesn't remove its text, though. And, of course, Mastodon can still get ridiculous no matter what version you have of him. Again, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. So now I've got 4 versions up there. What was the other one we were looking at? Nature's Progression. Okay, that one we can pull up. That one we can pull up. Pull that one up. And this has a score of 9 from SolForgeFusionDex.com. Has a 9 on this one. Let's look at this one first. Why is it so bad? So Nature's Progression. Druid's Chance. We got some good pump going on. We've got Shaman's Channeling. Again, a potential card that can give you a win condition later in a match. If you meet the requirements, it's tougher, 1, 2, and 3. But you do have a 4-bear who's a spirit who you're going to want to get off the board anyway. Shardplate Behemoth, okay. Wanderers, Eidolon. Oh, God, I hate the Eidolon. Cultivating Guardian. It's a nice card. You upgrade, it tells you to upgrade. That's the card. That's another card we should have been looking for. Okay. And then the level 3 is the first time you upgrade a creature each turn, you can play it for free. So I'd have to read up on the rules. I think the question was, if you've already upgraded a card or a creature on a turn, then you play this, does it count that card or not? And I don't remember the ruling on it. I would have to look that up to see exactly how it's supposed to interact. I feel like they ruled you wouldn't be able to get to play one for free, but I can't recall entirely. So when we do a rules episode, it might be one of those situations we give an example of. Okay, and Biting Bear. I love a bear. Bears are fun, and it's nice that he can get bigger. Like the Guardian, not the Eidolon. Wanderers is okay. It's great to have your opponent need to focus it down so you don't get free Oak Fathers. Behemoth is an okay card. And then the 4-bear, of course. So I don't hate this one either. We'll leave this one here for now. Let's go look at... We looked at that one. Let's look at this one. Okay. Dendrify, Guardian, Wanderers, Behemoth, Springbloom, Druid. Okay, some life gain for everybody. Torgamine Mender. It's a card I have not played much with. It's interesting. But just haven't played with it. Wolfstar Jin. So it's not the it's not as good a card as you think it is when you're looking at it. And if you're a newer player, like, oh, this card would be great, but it doesn't work out that way most of the time. Good thing is it's a spirit to be in the discard for this, or banish pile. Let's look at this deck here. That one, do I like it or not? I don't think I do. I'll pass on that one. Okay. Look at this one. We've got Nature's Progression. Overgrown. That's a card I don't play with much. That could be an intriguing option. That lets you play 2 creatures or exalts for free after your opponent plays 2, and level 3 is just you. But Predatory Attack is an interesting card. Preserved Habitat, Spirit Charm. A lot of spells in this one. Abiding Packmaster. Okay. Taro, Haunting Wild Man, Shepherding Willow, Spiky Bartok. Interesting. This deck's interesting. I'm going to hold on to it and see. I mean, I got to cut this list down now, but we have a Blighted Oros. So, what's the trigger? It's when a creature gains attack. It's so odd that they're the ones that have the gain attack option. But, what I don't like is most of the other, or all of the other Blighted Forgeborns, their ability on Transform is like a level 2 version of whatever card they're mimicking. This is the level 1 version of the card it's mimicking. I don't love that. It should be the level 2 version, just like the other spells are. But I guess it would be a little bit stronger, but at the same time, so be it. But nonetheless, give a creature +5, then destroy a creature with less attack than it. Okay. Give a creature +10. This turn it gets breakthrough. Opposing creature's health to 1. Nice. That's really interesting. I like that. So they're giving you ways to win the match later on. You know, it's straightforward. Unless your opponent removes things, like you can just pump something. So if you get them lower, that could be really good, actually. Predatory attack. Yeah, Nature's Progression, more pump. Let's see what they have here. So we have an Aetherhound, Graveborn Caller, Betrayer. Didn't realize that. I love that, though. Oxidon Rager, not a fan. But if you can somehow put him in between two creatures that are not going to die, or at least one of them's not going to die, then, you know, he's a good threat higher up. But at worst, he's a card in your hand to use when you play Preserved Habitat. Just upgrade him and chuck him. Relentless Wanderers. A lot of these decks have that. Behemoth. Springbloom Bartok. Uprising Elk. So, I wonder if it gives it... If it just adds that on. I haven't played in the client with it to see how it acts. Or if it gives it... Does it gain what it would and then get +2 on top of it as a second action? Because that would be 2 triggers on your Shadow Wild. So because this is a Blighted Oros, I'm going to hang on to this one too. So I've got 7 freaking decks to sort through here to say which ones do I want to try to build with. I'm looking at going with like a Nekrium Shamble type. I had the idea of a Preserved Habitat with a Taro with Shambles or Life Gain, which of course Nekrium has an abundance of. This was probably not a good choice for my second deck to do for the video because it's going to make the video run a little bit longer than I want. I'm already pretty long into it, so I'm going to try and get this done in the next 15 minutes or so and see if we can't get a deck put together. Okay, so I need to start. So you're different because you have that. You have Nature's Progression with a Guardian. You have Nature's Progression with no Guardian, but you have Overgrown. But Overgrown is a double-edged sword. Taliesin and Reveler have been... They're fun cards, but I haven't had them in a deck where they're just dominating for my deck and your opponent really doesn't get value out of it. Obviously, when you get to the level 3 versions, especially Taliesin, yeah, that's nice, but it's a lot of work to get there, and along the way, for the most part, your opponent has taken advantage of it with you. So, like I said, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Overgrown, same way. I haven't really made an Overgrown deck since it's been a long time. Just not It's not a card that I'm like dying to have. So this deck does have a Taro. And I maybe would closely just have a Taro 2. This has a Taro 2. So these 3 decks have Taros. Do these 2? No. No. Yeah, this deck has a lot of rares. Wow. You don't have it, but what else has a Cultivating Guardian? Do I have any other Cultivating Guardians in any of these decks? No, probably not. Nope. Damn. I mean, it's just one card. It doesn't fit the theme I'm going for. I mean, it does because it upgrades, but it doesn't. It's not critical of what I'm looking to do. So I need to remember that too. I don't hate this list, but I don't think I need. Do I not want it? I don't know. Yeah, I think I can go without it. It's a tough one to sacrifice, but let's look at these Taros real quick, because those are the ones I'm really, that's what I'm really building around, although I love the thought of this Oros and having a late cycle win conditions, you know, giving a creature +5, then destroying a creature if I do that when I'm off Forge, and I've got a creature in front that I can boost and just pile some damage through, and then the next turn I can give something breakthrough, and if they got an opposing creature, it goes down to 1 unless it's a Krogaius. Like, that seems like a great way to win a match. But let's see here. Like, I don't love the creatures. Druid's okay, don't get me wrong. It can be good, but it's just not. It's not at the top of my list for a deck where I'm trying to do life gain and drain and get some other added benefit out of it. I do like the Batterhide, the Mastodon. So again, the Mastodon makes me want to compare it with the other Mastodon deck. Sorry. And between these two, I just love this deck. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to eliminate it from my pool of potential mates. So I think I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't like half the creatures. And the spells are okay. They're not blowing me off the page necessarily. Okay. And then we've got 3 Taro decks, so let's look at those. I like Bartok, Taro. I don't really care about the rest of the creatures so much. The Willow can be okay if you can take advantage of it, which maybe you can with a Nekrium half, but it's not critical. And then there's no upgrading here. You do have Nature's Progression, though. Overgrown. You play free stuff. Spirit Charm. You don't really have any removal in this deck either. For having 5 spells, you have Predatory Attack, but that's still, you got to have a creature. I don't know. It's okay. I'd rather just have a new Terra Charger, I think, honestly. So let's look at this Taro. It's got Breakwood, which I like. Don't care for Eidolon. The Wild Man, he has Breakthrough if he's exalted, so that can work in a preserved habitat lane. So I don't hate him there. The Beetle, again, if you get him pumped, I like him. This does have Prevailing. So I think I'll hang on to this one and get rid of this one. We've got these 2. What is this one? This has Botanimate. The spell package is okay. Not the Ferocious Horrors, meh. Arboris, this is a... It's just intriguing to have the Arboris. Like, out of 100 times getting it to level 3 and playing it, there might be one time, if that, might be 1 in 1,000, where I'm going to get it to proc to go, 100 and win the match for me. It's so hard to get. Like, they couldn't, I don't know, they could have done it differently. It would have been a better card. I'm just worried that I'm going to be like, oh, I've got the perfect life gain half, and our Boris would have been great with it. But, so I think I'm going to cut that off. So I've got 3 decks now. Let's look for Nekrium. Let's go and find a Nekrium deck to go with it. So I should looking for how many beasts each deck has. So 2, 1, 2. Not a whole lot. If I can spell. A lot of Soul Reap. Some of these decks have... Well, she wants Shamble. I should start with that, but that's okay. And then... Do I want Discian Siphon? There could still be other life gain cards. None of these are... I'll just open all these. There's, 6 of them here? We'll try to cut it down to 2 if we can. Alrighty, we're going to start here. So Discian Siphon, Soul Reap, and it has a Shambler and a Darkheart Sorcerer, which could be nice. Corrupt Demon, yuck. Cutthroat Reaper can be interesting, especially with some of the... these 2 decks have a lot of potential creature generation. Well, that one does. Anyway. What does this one have? It doesn't. This one does. It doesn't have a Taro, so it doesn't really even fit my theme, but it's just a good half deck to maybe build something with. Collector's Mercenaries, that's in a lot of decks. Is it in my half or his half? It's in my half. Okay. Interesting. So apparently I like this half. Oh, it's got a good Circe too. But I would be using it probably with this deck, and I would want to be using the Oros. So the Circe doesn't matter for it. So, okay. We'll just look and see what else is out here. Siphon, Soul Reap, Group Meal. Playing another minion. Upgrading cards for each zombie you have in play. That can be really good. Love that thought. Love that thought. Okay. Shambling Reaper is neat. Vampiric Banshee. Banshee's a good card. Azymus. The Spite Hydra, if we are sacrificing things, we have Blight Witch for that. So I definitely like this idea of a deck. So I think I'm definitely going to keep this one in the loop. It's at the top right now. So this one has a Dreadbolt with the 2 spells. Okay. These spells that have 3. 3 that had Neck Revive. No hard removal here, but you do have other stuff, right? So this has the Dreadbolt, Bone Scythe Reaver, just a utility card. Skeleton can get huge. Portal Shade, utility. Shambling Featherfang, so Betrayer Featherfang. Interesting card. So this has more beast synergy. How many beasts are in this? 2, 3, nice. 4. Got plenty of beasts, so that's gonna be good. Soul Reap's great for that. Don't have to worry about the Circe, even though it's got a good Circe on it. That's definitely a good deck. I don't think I've used it for anything. So I like that. I think I'm going to get rid of this one because I don't need... They're all similar in that regard. Okay. 5 spells. It's got another Varric's Embrace, Soul Reap, Dissonant Siphon, Epidemic. Not a huge fan, but if your board was wiped and they've got stuff, hey, if you've got it leveled up potentially, it's not a horrible card. There are situations. Not big on the Walker. Corrupt Creeper. I like Creeper, but not corrupt ones. Tormenting Fiend and Venerable Shambler. I feel like I've got this in a deck that I've been playing with. Not big on the creatures. I love the spell package minus Epidemic. Take Epidemic out and give me something that's really good over here, and I love the deck. Another Shambler, a Darkheart maybe. What says you? I think I'm going to pass on this one because I don't like the creatures. And I already feel like this one, I feel like I like the creatures. This one, so-so on the creatures. And this one, I'm also so-so on the creatures. Like, not that I'm like, oh, these creatures are all amazing. Like, but Blight Witch can be really strong. Zymus, of course, you know, level 3 eventually, you just can never get rid of them without, like, Botanimate. And this one just has a lot of beasts that we can maybe take advantage of. So it does also have Skeleton at least. All right. So this one, just 2 spells. I mean, they're both the spells I wanted, but it's just like, can we get a few more spells here? Okay, Corrupt Skeleton, not happy about that, but I would play it at level 3 for how big it is. Cutthroat Fiend, Gloom Reaper Hag, Indomitable Fiend, okay. Shambling Creeper, Spite Hydra. I don't really like it. If I can be honest, it's not what I'm looking for, I think. Okay, this one, Neck Revive, Soul Reap, Dissonant Siphon, Infernal Ritual. Okay. It's an interesting idea. Shambling Spirit. Oh, that's a hard one to play. That is such a hard one to play. If you get it down, it's okay, but getting it down can be hard, especially if your opponent has a full board. Spirit Reaver, Steadfast Drake. Yuck. Level 2 strong. The Walker, okay, good chump blocker. The Moeba, the stats get nicer, but Necromancer is a nice card. That's great for this type of deck. Necromancer is a card I should have looked at. So I'll keep what I've got. I've got 3 of each. Do I want to change what I looked for at all? If I don't worry about the spells, I think about Shambling. I go Necromancer. And what else would I want? What else upgrades? Do I want the group meal? Maybe I go for group meal and see what's here. Why don't we just take a look at these 2 real quick, just in case I want to change the direction. I still want the Shambler. So this one has Siphon, Group Meal, Varnish Pack. Okay. Camouflage Shambler. Reaver commanding all those zombies get boosted. Corrupt Necromancer. Oh gosh, why? The card I'm looking for, Corrupt on. Alright. Pass on that one. Group Meal, Neck Revive, Ghastly Renewal for Scientists, Howl of Zith. Not big on. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Both of these were Corrupt Necromancers? What are the odds? Man, okay. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to go with what I've got because I did not hit my 15-minute mark to make a deck. I think what I'm going to do is pull this one aside and make one for this. This is not my Taro shambling thought process. We'll do that with one of the other ones here. But let's take a look at what these can do. This has 3 spells. We do want some pump on the attack, potentially. So Bartok can do it. That can do it. We need pump. Shambling Reaper can help with that. So there's a couple options there. That can be nice because then you can pump your other creatures. Oh, what do I want to pair it with? This did have the group meal, a lot of minion play with it. This one has a necromancer. Does it have a way? Doesn't have a way to pump though. Besides Infernal Ritual higher levels, which is not preferable. So this is not the right deck for it. This one could be good, and this one is... This one could work too. Oops. Okay. We're going to pair those two. Got Blighted Habitat, and just for so people know, currently Blighted Oros is bugged currently, so may not be using that anytime soon. I don't know that I should close the other one. That's okay. We'll pair these with other things. So do I want to try with both, with the prevailing and this one that I love so much, or do I want to? That one had the what you call it? Son of a gun. Whips of Phoenix in Disguise. Okay, sorry. I wanted to have the Blight Witch potentially for these decks. So I want to remove one of these. I like the Necromancer. This one. Has a Dreadbolt. That has Necrovive. Then I'm going to get rid of this one, even though I like it. I got to cut down because I can't have too many here. I can't have like 6 decks. I don't want to go each of these with each other. That'd be 4 decks. So you've got Prevailing. I just don't. I don't know. Okay. I think I'm going to go with this one. I like this one so much better. I'm just blinded by it. Now I need to decide on a Circe. This one can be really good. Nyx. Not liking. So if I pair it with this, I would probably go with this. And this one I would pair that. So maybe I'll make 2 here. We'll start with the whips with that. And now what do we want to call this? Oops. I don't even know what I want to go for a name on this one. Everyone has a different way of naming their decks. A lot of people will take a word from each half deck and just combine them. For me, it doesn't allow me to remember kind of what I did with the deck. So I always try to get cards from there of my theme. In this case, Preserved Habitat, Taro, and Shambling. So we'll try this. Taro's Habitat. And this will just be version 2. Okay, so that's me making some decks. Or what I made 4 decks tonight in a little bit over an hour, and I've got some new decks to help with my variety for my internal testing. Not that any of these are going to be game breakers. But maybe something, I've got a whole list of decks here I've got to do. So if I go through and make 30 decks, let's say, there's a chance that there could be one deck in there that is pretty good. So, it's just a matter of, that's why you make decks, you play, you test them, and you keep the ones that are good. That's the whole process. And this is just how I make decks. You can see kind of my thought process. I'm sorry if there were times where I'm not saying anything, I'm not looking at the camera, I'm in deep thought, looking at my screen, trying to process something. But this is, again, another example of how you can make decks, how you can break down your collection, to using the collection manager to break down your collection and figure out what you have. Sometimes you come across things you didn't even know you had. In my case, I've got 2,000 decks worth of stuff, and it's so much there. I don't know everything that I have, but yeah. So anyhow, I've taken up enough of your time. I do appreciate everyone watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you want. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate it. And I will be doing more videos like this as I make more decks. I'll try to keep recording that process, and it'll give people insights into a variety of things as I, interestingly enough, all 4 of these decks have Nekrium. That's not really that surprising. It's probably the strongest faction in the game, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you maybe learned something, and I look forward to playing you guys with these decks and seeing what these decks can do, if anything. Maybe they don't do anything, I don't know. But I look forward to finding out. I appreciate your time, so thank you, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care. This has been an episode of Rallying the Forge. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.